A very good morning, dear children. Dear children, we are going to start the next topic of History Chapter 7. So, children, we are going to start with the topic what happened to the local schools. Fine. So, children, we don't. Do you have any idea of how children were taught in the pre-British times? So, before the British they came to India, how they were being taught. So, children. Were they going to school? So, and if there were schools, what happened to those under British rule? And if there must be schools before also. So what happened when the British came? The report of William Adam, fine. So in 1830s, William Adam, a Scottish missionary, he toured the districts of Bengal and Bihar, and uh, he has been asked by the company to report on the progress of education in vernacular schools. Fine. So vernacular means the local schools, the local language schools. The report Adam produced it interesting. So in 1830, William Adam was sent. He was a Scottish missionary, and he went to Bengal and Bihar, and he was asked by the company to make a report on what progress the education made in the schools. Fine. So, what was the report? Adam found that there were over 1 lakh pathshalas in Bengal, and so there were how many schools were there? Pathshalas. So they were 1 lakh. These were small institutions with no more than 20 students each. So the strength of students was very less. That was not more than 20 students, but the total number of children being taught in these pathshalas were considerable. Fine, that was over 20 lakhs. So in each pathshala they were only 20, but if you talk about the whole total, so that was 20 lakh. These institutions were set up by the wealthy people. So who made these institutions? Either by the local communities or by the wealthy people, and at times they were started by a teacher, or sometimes a teacher or a guru had started these pathshalas. The system of education was flexible, so it was flexible. Fine. Few things you associate with school today were present in pathshala at that time. There were no fixed fee structure was totally flexible. No printed books were there, no separate school building was there, no benches, no chairs, no blackboard, no system of separate class, no roll call register, no annual examination, no regular timetable. It was flexible. Go according you want. Fine. So in some places classes were held just under a banyan tree, or in some places that was just in the corner of the village shop or a temple or at a guru's home. Fee dependent on the income of the parents. The rich had to pay more and the poor had to pay less. Fine. After that, okay. Okay, now see children, the teaching is also oral. The guru decided what he wanted to teach, and in accordance with the need of the students, and he just used to check out whatever the student required to be taught. So accordingly he used to teach. So no proper syllabus is there. Students were not separated out in different classes. All the students were sitting together, like now we have class, we have different classes. So that time it was not there. All were sitting together of all age groups, fine, at one place only. The guru interacted separately with a group of children with different levels of learning. So the guru used to call up different levels, but they were all sitting together, fine. Adam discovered that this flexible system was suited to local needs. So this system was just is just going to suit the local needs of the people. For instance, his classes were not held during harvest time. Fine. So whenever it was harvest time, the classes were not there. When the rural children they had to work in the fields. The Pathshala started once again when the crops had been cut and stored. This meant that now the children of the peasants, they could study because they are free from the work. Fine. Now new routine, new rules. So what all new rules were there? Up to the mid 19th century, the company was concerned primarily with higher education. So, up to the mid 19th century, they were just, worried about the higher education. So, what they did, so they allowed the local pathshalas to function without much interference. So, they were not interfering in the local pathshalas. Fine. After 1854, the company decided to improve the system of vernacular education as well. So they, after 1854, they thought that they are going to improve that system also. So it felt that this could be done by introducing order within the system, imposing routines, establishing rule, ensuring regular inspections. So now what they did, how they could change it? By introducing a proper order, a proper system. They are going to make a proper routine for the school, and they are going to make rules, and they are going to check out regularly what all is happening. How was this to be done? Now how could they do this? What measures did the company undertake? That we are going to discuss. It appointed a number of government pundits. So they appointed government pundits, each in charge for looking after 4 to 5 schools. So they were the in charge for 4 to 5 schools. The task of this Pandit was just to visit the Pathshala, and he is going to try and improve the standard of the teaching there. Each guru was asked to submit periodic reports and take classes according to a regular timetable. So this timetable system is you can think about it from where it came. So record maintenance. So this guru is going to uh, you know check out with the classes, and he is going to submit a periodic report as well, and the timetable. Teaching was now based on textbooks, and learning was to be tested through a system of annual examination. So now from here the examination came. Most of the time the children ask कि भाई exams किसने बनाए. So now you get to know from where it came. So the system of examination started. Annual examination once in a year. Fine. Students were asked to pay a regular fee. So they had to pay a regular fee. They had to attend regular class. They had to sit on a fixed seat, and they had to obey the new rules and discipline. Fine. Pathshalas which accepted the new rules were supported through government grants. So now the schools who accepted all this, they will get the financial help from the government, and those who are not willing, they are going to work within the new system received into they are the one who are not going to follow this, they are not going to get any support from the government. Over time, gurus who wanted to retain their independence found it difficult to compete with the government aided and regulated pathshalas. So now there were some gurus, those who want their own independence. So what they did, they just competed with the government, and they regulated their own pathshalas by themselves. The new rules and routines had another consequences. Now what all some more consequences were there? What was that? In the earlier system, now the children of the poor peasant families had been able to go to the pathshalas since the timetable was flexible. We discussed it. But now what happened? The discipline of the new system demanded what? Regular attendance. Now we have discussed that previously the children were going for their work and then again rejoining the school, but now it was not possible because the regular attendance was required. Even during the harvest time, the children of the poor families, they had to work in the fields, so they were now not able to attend the school. Fine. During this new according to these new rules. Fine. So it comes under the indiscipline. Fine. As evidence of lack of desire to learn, because they thought that you don't want to learn, that's why you are doing this. The agenda for national education. Now what they thought about the national education that we are going to discuss. Fine. British officials were not the only people thinking about education of India. They were not the only one. From the earlier 19th century, many thinkers from different parts of India began to talk of the need of wider spread of education. So even people from India also were thinking about this. Impressed with the developments in Europe, some Indian felt that Western education would help modernize India. So even our people were also thinking, some of the people in India were also thinking in the same way, that when we are going to learn the Western, education, we are going to modernize our country. Fine. They urged the British to open more schools, colleges, and universities and spend more money on education. So they requested the British government to open more schools, more colleges, more universities, and to spend more money on the education in India. Now you will read about some of the efforts in the chapter 9. In chapter 9 you will read about it. Fine. There are other Indians, however, who reacted against Western education. There were some those who reacted against the Western education. Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, they both opposed this Western education. Fine. In the English education has enslaved us. Now, what they said about it, that we are going to study. Fine. Now, what Mahatma Gandhi used to say? He used to say that Indian education has enslaved us. Mahatma Gandhi argued that the colonial education, what it did, it had created a sense of inferiority in the minds of Indians. So, Indians, they are thinking about inferior. What? It made them see Western civilization as superior and destroyed the pride they had in their own culture. So they were thinking that now the Indians, they are uh, giving more importance to the Western civilization, thinking that the Western civilization is superior and the Indian one is the inferior. There was poison in this education, said Mahatma Gandhi. It was sinful. It enslaved Indians. It cast an evil spell on them, charmed by the West, appreciating everything that came from the West. Indians educated in these institutions began admiring British rule. So what they said, that now the people, they had started admiring the British rule. They are appreciating whatever is coming from the West. So this is not fair. You are just making us slave. Fine. And we are the people who are learning about your education. They are just appreciating you people only. Mahatma Gandhi wanted an education that could help Indians rediscover the sense of dignity and self respect. So he said that we want the education which is going to bring back the sense of dignity and self respect in the hearts of Indians. During the national movement, he urged students to leave educational institutions in order to show the British that Indians were no longer willing to be enslaved. So during the national movement, he told the students to leave the educational institutions, and just to show that they are not going to become their slaves anymore by learning their language. Fine. Mahatma Gandhi strongly felt that the Indian languages ought to be the medium of teaching. So he wanted that the medium of teaching should be our own language. English, education in English kept Indians, distanced them from their own social surroundings, and made them strangers in their own land. So he said that by learning English, now people are just becoming, you know, they are just being uh, away from their own culture, away from their own language. Fine. So, speaking a foreign tongue, despising local culture, the English educated did not know how to relate to the masses. He said that they are speaking the foreign tongue and they are just ignoring their local culture. So this is not the way. Fine. Western education, Mahatma Gandhi said, focused on reading and writing rather than oral knowledge. So he said that now the children, they don't have oral knowledge, They are just stressed out on reading and writing. It valued textbooks rather than the life experiences and the practical knowledge. So Mahatma Gandhi said that you are just, stressing on the textbook rather than people are not learning from any, life experience, and no practical knowledge is being given. He argued that education ought to develop a person's mind and soul. Fine, so the development education should develop the mind and soul of the person. Literacy, or simply learning to read and write by itself, did not count as education. So he used to say that literacy does not mean simply read and write. Fine. He said that I am not counting it as education. People had to work with their hands, learn a craft, and know how different things operated. This would develop their mind and their capacity to understand. So he said that people should know how to work out with hands, and to means he gave stress on the practical knowledge. Fine. So he said just reading and writing does not mean that person is educated. Fine. As nationalist sentiment spread, other thinkers also began thinking of a system of national education which would be radically different from that set by the British. So others also started thinking in this way only, that whatever Mahatma Gandhi is saying is very correct. So we should have our own national education. Fine. Instead of this British rule, whatever British rule has set up. Fine. Tagore's Abode of Peace. Now I told you two were opposing. So the one was Mahatma Gandhi, we read it, and now we are reading about Tagore's ideas. Many of you may have heard of Shantiniketan. So you know Shantiniketan. Fine. Who established this? So Rabindranath Tagore. He started the institution in 1901. As a child, Tagore hated going to school. He found it suffocating and oppressive. The school appeared like a prison, for he could never do what he felt like doing. Fine. So it happened with most of us. Fine, that we don't like going to school. So same happened with Rabindranath Tagore. So while other children listened to the teacher, Tagore's mind would wander away. So he was always wandering. The experience of his school days in Calcutta shaped Tagore's ideas of education. On growing up, he wanted to set up a school where the child was happy. So he just wanted to set up a school where a child was happy, free, and he could be creative, he can explore his own thoughts and ideas in spite of just pushed towards a specific topic and all. Tagore felt that childhood ought to be the time of self learning outside and rigid and restriction discipline of the schooling system set up by the British. So he said that's a time of self learning in spite of all the restrictions, discipline, and the system which is set up by the British. Teachers had to be imaginative. So he used to say teachers should be imaginative, should understand the child, and should help the child to develop her curiosity. According to Tagore, the existing schools killed the natural desires of the child to be creative, her sense of wonder. So he said that now, whatever school has been opened, they are just killing the natural desire of a child. They are not making the child creative, and they are not allowing the child to wonder. Fine. Tagore was of the view that creative learning could be encouraged only within the natural environment. So he stressed out on creative learning. So he chose to set up his school 100 kilometers away from Calcutta. So he made his school 100 kilometers away from Calcutta in a rural setting. He saw it as an abode of peace. So what is the meaning of abode of peace? Shantiniketan, where everybody was living in a harmony with nature, children, they could cultivate their own natural creativity. So that's why the place was known as Shantiniketan. In many senses, Tagore, Mahatma Gandhi, they thought about education in the similar ways. They both talk about same ways. There were, however, differences too. Gandhiji was highly critical of Western civilization and its worship of machines and technology. He used to criticize all this. Whom? Mahatma Gandhi. Tagore wanted to combine the elements. He want a combination of modern Western civilization and what he saw as the best within Indian tradition. So he just wanted to mix up both. He emphasized the need to teach science and technology at Shantiniketan along with art, music, dance. So what he emphasized on? Science, technology as well as art, music and dance. So now see, subjects are also made different. Many individuals and thinkers were thus thinking about the way a national education system could be fashioned. Fine. So many of the peoples they were just thinking out how it could be made, how the national education system could be made. Some wanted changes within the system set by the British. Some people used to say that British system is fine, but we just wanted some changes and felt that the system could be extended so as to include wider section of people. So they used to think that this system could, allow more sections of people to, add on. Others urged that alternative system to be created so that people were educated into the culture that truly national. So they wanted that people should also know about their nationality. Fine. They should also know about the culture of their nation as well. Fine. Who was to define what truly national? Who used to define now? Fine. The debate about what this national education ought to be continued till after independence. So from there, after independence, it continued. Fine. Education as a civilizing mission. So just go through the elsewhere. Fine. So this was the end of the chapter. Thank you and have a nice day.